Welcome to We Love Deck Builders, the podcast dedicated to empowering deck industry pros to construct a thriving business. Join your host, April Edwards, founder of Deck Builder Marketers, as she brings you a cheat sheet of industry secrets and strategies that promise to boost your deck building business. Whether you're a battle-tested pro or just starting your entrepreneurial journey, this podcast is your arsenal for expert insights and actionable advice. So tune in and let's carve a path to business growth, one insight at a time.
Hey, welcome back to We Love Deck Builders, your go-to podcast for mastering the business side of decking. I'm April Edwards, CEO and growth strategist at Deck Builder Marketers, and I'm here to guide you to help you build the business you truly deserve. Now, we recorded this episode before and we had a little bit of a technical glitch, so I owe it to Tara and Tommy to give them the best intro possible. So I'm re-recording it today to give them the props they deserve. So in this episode, we have Tara and Tommy from Solid Ground. They are the dynamic duo who has built a standout company specializing in custom deck building, backyard patios, outdoor kitchens, and luxury pergolas, serving the vibrant communities of St. Louis and St. Charles. What sets them apart, though, and I'm so excited for you guys to feel this when you listen to the episode. It's what sets them apart. It's not just their unparalleled craftsmanship, but it's their deeply rooted values of honesty, dependability, and trustworthiness. And I'm telling you, you're going to see this. You're going to hear it. You're going to see it. You're going to hear it. So listen, stay tuned. But they are a DuraLife Deck Specialist of the Year, and they were voted best deck builders in St. Louis. They've not only set the bar for high quality, but have also mastered the art of turning clients into family friends through exceptional communication and service. Um, Being a veteran-owned business adds to their strong foundation of integrity and excellence. So listen in. We're going to dive into the journey of Solid Ground. We're going to talk about the secrets to their success. You're going to get to know Tara and Tommy, what their future visions are, and more so, what I'm excited for you to learn is what their personal touch is that makes working with them feel like joining a family. So why don't we start by just talking about the beginning? What motivated you guys and inspired you to start this journey?
Of course. Let me start that.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the journey really started when he was younger.
Yeah.
Your mom and dad in the family business that you own. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I started like a lot of builders, like just tinkering with stuff. Um, I mean, as a kid, building a fort or a playground type stuff was just commonplace. Um, you know, I think statute of limitations has passed, but like stealing scrap lumber off of job sites and building a fort and ramps and whatever. But I think I learned at a young age that I really liked being outside. I liked the build, and I like working with people. I really I working in the restaurant industry.
Yeah,
I
we
loved
both have that background.
like just the camaraderie you had in the kitchen, the the fun banter you would have with certain clients, and it was fun. And I think a lot of that experience, both in the restaurant world for both of us, I think that melded me into who I am for sure. Um, and the building side of things, working with my dad, my dad he was good at everything, anything he did. He was like, when I say he was the best at something, I mean, he worked so very hard to become the best at something. And if he didn't know how to do something, he researched it, he figured it out. Um, he built the house that I grew up in. And as a kid, that was just, that was just the norm. Like everybody builds stuff. I didn't think that was out of the ordinary. And I was probably in my late 40s before I guess the impact of that really hit me. I realized at, well in my 40s that my dad, who I just thought he was just a carpenter his whole life, well, he built a 4,000 square foot, story and a half cathedral ceiling home. We had 20-foot ceilings in my bedroom. My bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. And when he built this house, he'd never built a house before. It wasn't like he was in the construction world and he built that, he just, and when asked people, like, how do you know how to build a house? He's like, well, I saw one before. And that was really his kind of take on everything. So
My
growing up, I never
grandfather was
had,
exactly the same. Like the
yeah,
almost to the T, the same story was my grandfather.
Oh,
He built this big great room that, replaced the
yeah,
old family. Well, actually, he turned the patio into a what they call a great room, so it had big
yeah.
ceilings and stuff. So it
And
was
it's
really cool.
fascinating. Like
Mhm.
you see something like that come together, especially as a kid. It's just normal. Like
yeah.
grandpa built a great room. So what? Doesn't everybody do that? But then you become an adult, and I think the world tries to teach us that we can't do things.
Yeah.
But my whole life, I was told not only that I can, but like I watched somebody do everything he set out to do. So it was just, it didn't even seem like that big of a deal building
It was
things.
natural.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
it
just
was, it
like,
was so natural. And we both have
yeah,
fathers that were, they did things and they excelled at it. My background with my father, he entrepreneurship. He was in the union. He worked HVAC. And one day I was about 15, and he's like, Tara, I'm going to own my own company. I need your help. And I'm like, let's do it. And he's been going strong for over 30 years, and now he's opening up his own training facility. So
yeah,
it's really deeply rooted between the two of us and where our passion comes from. And it just was handed down to us, I think.
Amazing.
yeah.
So
And I think,
did you guys meet in the restaurant industry?
no,
Well, not in it. I was still
yeah,
in it, and I was going to
restaurant
school
adjacent.
adjacent. Yeah, I was still bartending, and I was going to school, and he would wait for me to get off work. So sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah?
and
Oh my
yeah,
god.
it was such a lifestyle, but it
Mhm.
She
really
blew me off for a long time.
I
You broke her
did.
down.
I did. I
Yeah.
didn't care for him right
Um,
away.
Oh
like,
my
I
gosh, what is
know.
going on here? This is the same story with me too and my husband. I was a bartender and he would pick me up at 2 in the morning, and one time he picked me up in his pajama pants that had polar bears on them, and he ended up getting pulled over. He
Oh
yep.
always
my
brings that
gosh.
up.
Oh yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah,
It makes for such a great love story. It really
yeah.
does.
I love
Yeah.
Oh,
that.
that's awesome.
But,
Mhm.
it's interesting. So also same story. I've worked every position in the, back of the house. I wanted to be a culinary
Mhm.
chef at one point. I worked every single position since I was 13.
Yeah.
And then back of the house and front of the house, and I feel that that molded me a lot too. There's a
Mhm.
lot
Yeah.
of
Oh,
independence, especially when you're living off of tips, to provide good service and be a hard worker. And then I think you also learn how to multitask, and put up with a lot of
oh
shit for
yeah.
the lack of a better
Mhm.
Sure.
term. So,
Yeah.
okay,
And
so
don't you feel it gives you the, like, in the restaurant world, you see every walk of life,
Mhm.
every personality, every attitude.
Oh yeah.
Mhm,
And it teaches you how to communicate,
mhm,
without just losing your temper and like,
Or
um,
shutting down.
leading, or
Yeah.
I use that term loosely, but leading from a dictatorship rather than leading from a position of leadership. And um, you know I've had some great leadership in my life that has shown me how you bring people with you. You don't tell people what to do. You show them how to be successful, with whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
If
mhm,
you're the dishwasher, I'm going to be the best dishwasher you've got,
mhm,
and if you want me to whatever, like anything, any step of the way, I want to be successful in that career path or in that position, or whatever it is. Um, and it's been awesome. I mean, we've been able to kind of instill that. I mean, definitely instill that in our
For
kids.
sure. Mhm.
Um,
as well as our
And
business.
even,
Yeah,
like,
I think that's one of the main reasons why we are so close with our clients is that
mhm,
you know, we treat them like human beings. We
yeah,
treat them like friends and family. We grew up in the hospitality industry, and everyone was just connected. And yeah, I think a lot dealing with servicing the public that definitely teaches you how to
yeah,
manage conflict as well.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
for
yeah,
sure.
that definitely
Yeah. And when to
set the
say
tone
things
for
and
us.
when not to say things.
Yes. Oh yeah. Or when I grab his leg.
Yeah, yep, I can struggle with that a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
We all have our own communication styles. And then there's those
Yeah.
oh yeah,
people,
for
like I
sure.
used to say that, they would sometimes you're like, did you just come out to eat just to complain? But like, do you ever
Yeah,
actually go out to enjoy yourself? And there's, in business today, it's the
Uh-huh.
same thing. So
yeah. You can
people are
always, I think you can, people that have worked in that industry, they just carry themselves differently when they're out. They know what it feels like to be busy and not be able to catch up. They know what it feels like to not be busy, but to mess up. And then it's like a snowball effect. Like you messed up this table's drink order, and then their appetizers didn't get out, and then their whatever. And it just keeps going.
Yeah.
But the people that have experienced that can kind of sit back and be like, I mean, we've been out before, and
Hmm.
Tara will grab a waiter or waitress and be like, just take a breath.
Yeah.
You're good. Just go reset.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh my gosh. And then you see like this huge transformation in their persona or demeanor. Yeah. And it's because we've been there,
Yep.
Mhm.
and if you take that um in every aspect, I mean, just take a breath, slow down,
Mhm.
Mhm.
gonna be fine.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
it taught us a lot how to forward think because you're trying to plan the next
Yeah.
step. So that has a lot to do with our foundation of our company is knowing the next steps that we need to take, internally and externally, product wise, employee wise. So
Hmm.
there's also the what I call the bartender's peripheral vision. You have like this
Yeah.
intuition that hangs around you, and you know like something's going on over here that I need to take care of. I know exactly how to take care of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, you develop that and turn that into skill set for your company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now that you say that, I feel like I probably battle that a lot because
Mhm.
it's that multitasking personality where like you're kind of doing something right now, but you're knowing what needs to be done next. So it's interesting that see,
Yeah.
I love these conversations.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Did not think it was
Yeah,
gonna go here, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. Well, so
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about how Solid Ground started, when, and
Oh
kind
yeah,
of what those initial years were like.
of course. Yeah, we started. It was probably around '08, '09. Um, Tommy and his dad was working on our deck for our home, and at the time you were in sales,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, you were in sales, and I was in corporate finance was my background. And I come home from work and I just watched this build happen. And I was just amazed at how much they would put into it and how detailed it was. And one day I come home and it's done. And I'm just like, babe, this is what you need to be doing for a living. Like, seriously, this is so good. And it kind of started from there. We started a company, Barefoot Decks. And yeah, like I guess that was the trigger. That
It
was,
evolved from
yeah.
there. And it was. I mean, it was a gorgeous deck. I mean, it was multiple inlays. It 45 from the center, about 1,000 square foot deck. Or I guess the original deck was about 700 plus. Um, all picture framed in. I mean, the things that most deck builders are doing
Mhm.
today, but it was fun. I really enjoyed the build. It was an all cedar deck. I was, I love wood. I can geek out over the wood grains and
Yes.
patterns and colors of wood. We don't do any wood decking, no wood framing anymore. Like
Yeah.
everything on our job site is all steel framing, all composite decking, all metal rail. But I do love the beauty of wood. It just
Mhm.
unfortunately has no place
Yeah.
outside anymore. I mean, it just doesn't last. But she said like the origin is really all her. She kind of said, "Hey, this is what you should be doing," and I'm like, "You're nuts! Like I thought she was completely out of her mind because, again, backing up to, my childhood or growing up, like, if you wanted a deck, you just built a deck. If you wanted anything, you just built it. You didn't
Mhm.
hire somebody to come out and build a
Mm.
deck. And I couldn't even wrap my head around that being a profitable business, which I'm glad I listened. But I really felt like, how do you hire somebody to come build a deck? You just go build it.
Mhm.
So I didn't see that as a marketable thing. Um,
I
and
love
back
how
then I
I'm
don't,
sorry, I love how most of you deck builders are so modest,
Yeah.
right? I
We are.
mean, here
Mhm.
you
this
are,
is
it's your first
modesty.
deck, and you put in every level of creativity possible to push the boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't just build a deck, you did all these extra things. And your
Mhm.
wife
Well,
over here saw the magic happen, and you're like, "Still."
Yeah.
yeah, but I think um, so I think a lot of the deck builders that we kind of associate with, or like the circles that you and we run in, they're more than deck builders. They're artists.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think that's probably the hang up that a lot of us have, like hypercritical of our own work.
Mhm.
Um, people throw around the term imposter syndrome a lot. And it's almost getting cliche, like you want to say that you have it even if you don't. But I think in the artist realm and in the deck builders that are truly artists, I think they
Mhm.
100%
Yeah.
suffer from that and struggle with that because you just we take for granted what we can do, all of us, what we can do well.
Mhm.
Tara can run a business like no other. Like, business side of things, it's all her. April, I don't know what my house payment has been for the
Stop.
last 25 years.
Don't admit this.
None of it. Like, I don't know what, people always say, Chris Green talks heavily about know your numbers, know your numbers, know
Mhm.
your numbers. I know my numbers. I know what my closing percentages are. I know what like how many sales I need. I know what our profitability is. Um, but like money in the bank, I don't need to know it. Like, she's got that. That's
Mhm.
that's her realm, if you
Mhm.
will. And it works great because
I mean, I do a little
she's
bit
an
more than just
expert at that.
that.
A lot more than just that.
Just a
Um,
person.
she got me to get out of my way,
Yeah, I did.
and that was
2021.
yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
Like,
So we had a plan. We had a plan in 2021. We still had 5 years of this plan, and we had the idea that I was going to retire my corporate career and just help run the business. And in 2021, I started seeing the changes, and it's unfortunate because it was during COVID, but I was seeing the changes of people wanting to invest more in their homes, wanting to invest more outdoors, and I'm like, you know what, the move needs to happen now because there's an opportunity. I feel it.
Mhm.
So in October 2021, I retired my corporate side and went full on into the business and basically told him, you're going to have to step out of the way. You're going to have to allow us to work together, and you're also going to have to allow others to come in and work for us. Otherwise, we're not going to grow. We're not going to be anywhere. And our
Mhm.
ultimate goal is to leave something for our kids and our grandkids.
Yeah.
So, and it's happened.
yeah,
It's happened. I think we did it at a great time. I don't regret not doing it sooner because I feel like everything I learned along the way, being in finance and operations, I'm able to put into the company. So it's
mhm.
been a great journey. It might have been a little bit slow at times, but yeah, every step of the way we've enjoyed. And I have to be surprised. I enjoy working with them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
have to,
mean, that
I
is
have
such
to
a
admit, I'm a little
testimony.
surprised about
Oh, I'm a lot of fun.
that. Let me tell you. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Do we have
I
another hour?
Yeah,
it works surprisingly well for some people. I
yeah,
cannot work with my husband. He's a client, and now my team works with him, and I don't have to work with him.
There
yeah,
you go.
So, yeah.
Boundaries. Yeah.
yep.
So interestingly enough, there was a post that Brendan Casey put on Nadra Connect last week or this week, just talking about a one-man band, and
Mhm.
um, just interested to see how many people are, running their business in that way. And I think that a lot of people struggle to let go of the vine, is what we say, um,
Yeah.
because it's hard. I mean, it
Mhm.
is, and I'm just like, look, you got to know that you're never going to hire somebody that's as good as you. I mean, you will eventually, but you
Mhm.
need to step into it with the expectation that you're only going to get 80% out of them that you would do. And it's so much just, it's so much personal training to be able to let go and then to
Mhm.
have your processes and all of those things down in a way that you can hand it off and other people can rinse, wash, and repeat. And it's not like inefficient with two people doing the same job. But I
Yep.
feel like that's one of the hardest things for business owners to do,
It
is that
is.
initial step of letting go of the vine.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
It's
agree.
so
I think
impactful,
so.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think one of our golden rules, especially when we're hiring, whether it's in-house or out in the field, is I'm hiring my replacement. So to
Hmm.
me, I'm looking at this person as myself. So I have got to give them the tools, the education, and the skills to be able to do it. And I think
Hmm.
going into that with that mindset really truly helps keep the confidence, keep the trust, and eventually allowing you to let go.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
The let go's tough.
hire your replacement.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
say.
Yeah.
Whether it's
and
out in the field or inside, hire your replacement.
even we our teams are taught that. Like each
Yes.
person on the team is taught they need to train their replacement because
Hmm.
they're not long for that position. Like
Yeah.
their goal should be to move up, and
Hmm.
whether it's move up with this company or to something else,
Hmm.
don't stay here wherever here
Yeah.
is. And it doesn't matter what the income level is or the expertise level or whatever, but just improve, get better. And we certainly hire on hoping that someone makes a career out of this, and
Hmm.
they retire from our business one day. But the reality is a lot of these guys will
Yeah.
move on, and wish them the best.
Hmm.
We've got a great opportunity to get people introduced to the trades.
Yes.
We have such a shortage of people that are willing to go out and do the work that was quite honestly looked down upon for so many years. The ditch diggers of the world, is how we've always been looked at and treated. Like I swing a hammer for a living, but I swing a hammer on your $2 million home. You want to come in here and swing a hammer with me? Like
Hmm.
that's where we've got. But for many years, and even for me coming up in the industry, it was, as a kid, I knew I had to go to college to be successful, and that's just not the case. There are a lot of kids out there like me that, you know, did fine in school, just don't want to stay in school, don't want to be in an office setting, even though I'm in an office setting now. Uh, but swinging a hammer, I've never had so much enjoyment out of a job than building, being able to step back and look at a project and say, you know what, I built that.
Hmm.
That is a feeling that, I mean, it literally it gives me chills just thinking about that. And
Giving that to her.
we're able to give that to the people on our team.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when you kind of see that fire in somebody where they're like they step back and they're like, oh my
Or they
god,
take pictures and
yeah,
team.
and they're like, look at this, it's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a
So
good segue for, if you could undertake any project without any limitations, kind of like your dream project. What do you think it'd be? What would
Oh
that
my
look like?
goodness. It's in my backyard. Just kidding.
Yeah,
it's
right.
funny. So that changes. That changes with the as the seasons change. Like we. I remember when the thought was, man, if I could just land a $30,000 deck, like, oh my gosh, if a thirty
Hmm.
thousand dollars, can you imagine what we could do with a $30,000 deck? And now you're going back 15 years, but
Yeah.
now 30,000 is about where we start, usually
Yeah.
a little north of 30.
Hmm.
Um, so the projects have gotten bigger.
Hmm.
Um,
The quality has gotten
the
greater.
quality has definitely gotten better. Um, but what would be an ideal like a dream job? I think
Yeah.
I think the jobs that people kind of allow themselves to dream a little bit,
Open up.
those are incredible.
Yeah.
because you pull away the limitations in their mind's eye and teach them that, I talk to people about this a lot. Like, anything that you've talked to another builder about and they say, no, you can't do that, throw that out. Let's just start fresh, because I promise you, if you can imagine what something will look like, there is engineering available to make it a reality. Now, it may not fit their budget. That's a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
But allow something else to be the limiting factor. Don't let your imagination be the limiting factor. And that's why you've got guys like Brendan Casey that are slamming out beautiful projects. You've got guys like John Lee that are slamming out beautiful projects that are just, they're incredible.
Yeah.
They are pieces of art.
Mm-hmm.
That is just fascinating to be able to create something like that for someone.
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know. I can't. I don't know how I could be any more thankful just for the opportunity to be able to do that in someone's backyard. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, I think the best part of it is like, yes, you're building things and yes, you're, swinging a hammer, but you're creating experiences for people to enjoy. It brings
Yeah.
families together. It allows people to get together. It's a platform for that, or for you to connect with the outdoors. Like, there's just so many wonderful things that come from not only just having a beautiful deck that, you know, impresses the Joneses or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
something that, people really enjoy. But based
Yeah.
off of what you just said, I would think that maybe what you really enjoy the most is solving those problems and putting the puzzle together based off of the pieces that your client gives you.
Yeah, I think so. That'd be accurate.
Yeah. I love that. So, you guys are a family run business. I checked out some of your video testimonials, which they have a really good resource for getting all their video footage. I definitely recommend that you go on the website and check it out because it really, it's kind of one of these things where you need to spend almost as much time on promoting and documenting your work as doing it. And I think it's been pretty impressionable to see the video work that you have. But they have video testimonials, which
Yes.
They do.
are really great. And I'm saying that in a way for our listeners to understand how important it is to go the extra step and to get things like that. Because it's like real tangible social proof of
Mhm.
what you guys can do, not just looking at the pictures. Because, in my opinion, 50% of what we do is the service that we provide and the way that we make people feel. In my business, it's eliminating anxiety about their investment, you know, um, and helping them understand some of these nerdy things that we do. And then the other 50% is in the results. And that's just how I approach things. Um,
Sure.
but a couple of your the sense that I got is that you guys really build long-lasting relationships with your clients and you don't look at them as just clients, but as friends. And I
No.
even
Yeah, for
heard
Yeah.
sure.
one of your clients say a family friend. I mean, that is a hell of a
Yeah.
testimony. So,
Yeah.
I guess, like, just with all of that said, what's on your mind? What do you think would be helpful to, to pick out of that and, tell the audience?
Yeah, I think you touched on it a little bit the last conversation. It's about experience. This is not just we don't go in and just build something for someone. We want to make this a part of their life. We want to make them a part of the experience as well. We want them to be the dreamers. We want them to be part of the building, and we like to make sure that they understand what they're getting in their education and of the product. But I want them to feel comfortable through the whole process. I don't want my crew just to be there and they hide in their house, and peek out a little bit. Like they literally will go outside and hang out with them. Sometimes they'll bring them lunch.
Yeah.
We have kids. You always say that it's a babysitting gig
Okay.
sometimes because the kids will sit there and just watch the crew order. But it's taking them and putting them into our lives, into the project. So it's just a lot of sharing, a lot of experience building. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've made some great
You
friends.
really do have the opportunity to meet. you meet a lot of people, and the guy that I know which video you're talking about, and he was a great guy. He passed away a couple years ago, and like you stay in contact with these people. You're part of their lives for like this little blip of time while you're building, and like even our crew is like, man, I don't want to leave. Like this is I love this family, or this couple, or oh my gosh, the dogs. Like
Mhm.
the dogs just they become our crew's pets. But you do like you get invites to barbecues, you get invites to family parties.
And then on the negative side, you do get information if something happens to the family. Like
Yeah,
we get told, like if there's a
and that's
passing and there's funeral services,
yeah,
and I hate to make it dark, but it means a lot. It means that
Yeah.
they care about us as
mhm.
much as we care about them.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's tough, and like from a business standpoint, like you're there to make a business, to run a business, but you can't do this job without the human side, without the emotion and the connection.
Yes.
Um, Not in the way we do, not in the way that builders that are building at this level do. You just automatically have a connection with these people. Like you have to get to know them. You have to know um, how they want to use the space. Do
How
you
they love
have
it.
you know do you have a two-bedroom home that it's a vacation home that you want to do something on, or is this a six-bedroom home? You've got kids or grandkids. Who's going to use this space? How are you going to whatever? So you really take a deep dive into their lives a little bit, um, and find out what their use is going to be.
Mhm.
And then years go by and you're just still sharing Facebook messages or whatever.
Or
And it's
text
like,
Yeah.
messages.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and a lot of times we get called back, to do different things. We've got a project coming up that it's our third time back to this home. Um, and and each project they're substantial projects,
Mhm.
and they call us when they need an HVAC person or an
Yeah.
electrician or a roofer or a siding. And I think that is,
Proof proof of our integrity
yeah,
for
like
sure.
that shows
Yeah.
that says
They
something
they
when
trust
they're
our judgment,
right.
so
Yeah.
yeah, look to us for advice, even beyond the outdoor living
Mhm.
space.
Very similar in my court. I love how our
You see,
Yeah.
businesses are
Yeah.
different, but so the same. I mean, whenever we have a 2 hour on planning call with our clients, and I always say we need to understand you intimately if we are going to
Yeah.
put a solution together. If it's based off of your vision and what makes you different. And so it's the same with
Mhm.
you guys. Like you have to understand them on a personal level, what they like, what they don't like, what they what their family situation is like, if
Yes.
all of
Yeah.
that stuff, in order to build them something that maybe they didn't even think about, and you can
Mhm.
bring those new
sure.
ideas to the table if you have that information. So pretty cool. I
Yeah.
love the sharing of the Facebook posts and stuff. It's really cool. Do you think
Yeah.
that you have like a process in terms of communication touch points to really nurture the relationship as you go? Is it kind of more of an organic, maybe you haven't thought
I
about it,
say
but
more than that. Yeah.
I bet you guys check in and do certain things that are standout.
Yeah, I think it's more organic. We don't really have a process. Like we have a general, like we need to make sure that we're having these communications, these conversations at these points in time, but we
Mhm.
don't have it laid out and we, do a
Yeah.
checklist, check and
Yeah.
balance. It's more of it's just organic, and then we just kind of remind each other like, hey, we need to make sure we tell them
Right.
about this process, and we need to tell them about this. And
Mhm.
a lot of times it's just how would we want
Yeah.
communication as a
Mhm.
customer?
Mhm.
Like I don't want to be left in the dark. So
Mhm.
a lot of times it's like, hey, let's send them a quick text or an email or through our CRM.
And now,
Yeah.
to give a quick plug to Job Tread,
Yeah.
that
Whoop,
has, I mean,
whoop.
that's been a game changer for me, keeping things organized.
Mhm.
I the again, this was her thing that's, like the business side of things. She
The
felt that we
data.
needed that
I wanted the
that
data.
system. I've got a notepad, I've got my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
That's all I
Oh
need.
my
That
gosh,
was
the
Yeah.
kind of my
notepads. Don't even get me started,
yeah.
April, with the notepads. Oh my gosh.
But
I'm
using a
guilty.
using anything though, any type of system, like everybody develops their system. They
Yeah.
know what works well for them.
Yeah.
Um, but that was just more of a
Yeah.
getting out of my own way,
Mhm. Mhm.
trying something new and
Yeah.
we've been
It
very
improves
successful with it.
communication with our customers. They
Yeah.
have, yeah, they feel like they can get to us any time of day, and we make sure they can. Like we tell them, like
Mhm.
it's okay if you text us at night or on the weekends. We're here for you. If you have any
Mhm.
questions or a thought, if we don't get back to you right away, it's fine. We'll get back to you the next day. But we, I don't know. I think it goes back to our hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we're those servers and those bartenders that want to make sure that you're taken care of. And do you need
Mhm.
anything else? How's your meal going? It's kind of like that. I think
Mhm.
Mhm.
that's where it comes from. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, we work with our clients for years, and so we have kind of a profile for everyone in terms of what their communication preferences are like, because some clients don't want you to talk
Yeah.
to them all the time, and other people do. And some, of course, we have all these
Mhm.
different ways to communicate: text, phone call, email, all of
Mhm.
this. So we document all of that so that whenever anybody from the team reaches out, we know how many times to, how to, even like, do they need a lot of information or a little
Yeah.
information? And so it's very white glove and kind of organic in
Mhm.
that standpoint. We have a CX rep. That's her sole job, is just to make sure that our clients are happy. And I tell her, I'm like, you're kind of like Santa Claus. I'm a little jealous of your job, because she gets
Yes.
to like give them gifts and,
Mhm.
celebrate wins with them and all
Oh,
of
that's
that
awesome.
stuff.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. It
So
reminds me of the old Sicilian mother of one of the restaurants I worked at. She'd walk around and make sure everyone was okay. Like she wouldn't do
Yeah. The
yeah,
anything.
snoozer.
All she
Mhm.
had to do was
Yep.
just take care, ask people if they're all right, and
I
yeah,
love it.
But that set the stage.
it does. Yeah.
That set the mood, the ambiance, whatever. Like, and that's what people are coming for.
Mhm,
It's that personal feel, that personal touch.
Mhm.
mhm,
Um, they don't want to be a number. They want to be treated like they matter.
They're investing in us. They're not
Yeah.
just
mhm,
investing in the product. They're investing in us as people, and we
Mhm.
want to make
mhm,
sure that they get their money's worth. So
mhm. Yep, yep. Awesome. Well, every business has its ups and downs and challenges. And so, having done this for so long, is there like a particular obstacle that you think would be beneficial to, talk to the audience about, you overcoming it? Kind of a hard lesson to learn that maybe somebody could benefit from?
I mean, I kind of touched on getting out of your own way.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I think that can be at so many different things, not
Mhm,
just not just growing to from one truck to 12 trucks, but just any growth is uncomfortable. For
mhm,
me, it really getting out of my own way should have happened years earlier than it did. Uh, but I felt like no one's going, like you said, no one's going to do it as well as I
mhm,
did. And that's just not true. If I teach the way I like things done, and I teach that to the people that are working with us on our teams,
mhm.
and we keep working at it. Tara mentioned giving them the tools they need
Yeah.
to be successful.
yes,
You're going to have a successful business. You know, I think we all have our talents, and just because you can build a beautiful deck doesn't mean you have any business being in business.
Mhm,
But you can build a beautiful deck and hire somebody that knows how to run a business,
mhm.
and and create a very successful business. It just,
Yeah.
not trying to wear every hat.
yes,
Mhm.
But I did for so long. It was
Yeah.
just, and it was my baby.
yeah.
We started this
Mhm.
business,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it became my baby. And there was very
Mhm.
much a, um, not control exactly, but like the fear of it not being right, not being what
Yeah.
I told the customer it was going to be. Like, it
Yes.
was
Yes,
my
yes, yes.
name,
I
my
think
word.
I think you also scared about being judged. Like someone was going to call you out and say, "Oh, this is the work you do." Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they're a
Well,
little,
it's your reputation. It's
yeah,
Yeah,
everything.
for
I
sure.
mean, it's everything.
Hmm.
So that's, yeah, completely understandable for sure.
And
I think I
one
think
thing.
it takes um I think it takes like really evaluating the tasks and things that you're doing and putting them in quadrants, like what do you love to
Mhm.
do? What do you hate to do? What are you good at and what are you not good at? And then you can kind of figure out how to delegate from there.
do a SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
And I think giving we've empowered our employees.
Yes.
Our teams are empowered to make decisions that they know to make.
Yes.
If they know that if a board was cut and it's not right, it's not perfect, it's not a question. Take the board out, put a new board in. I don't care what the expense was.
Mhm.
Learn why that happened. Why was that cut the way it was?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just an error. Like we all could make a bad cut, but it doesn't pass muster. It doesn't go on the deck. It doesn't go to the client's build.
Mhm.
We've talked extensively about people will notice how much work does not go into something, but they rarely notice how much work goes into something. So,
Yeah.
and what I mean by that is like if you're working so diligently to make this perfect cut or this perfect detail, they're just like, yeah, that looks really good. They don't know if it took you the first try or if it took you, 10 hours to make this just right. But when you don't make that perfect cut,
Yes.
they know you didn't take any time. They know that it was an
Yeah.
imperfect cut and you just allowed that to
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
So, our
We
teams know that whatever it takes, make it right.
Yeah, we encourage them to, yeah, they might have questions and they come to us about it, but we ask them, what are your thoughts? What would you do in this
Mhm.
situation? Don't just come to us with a problem, come to us with some options, some, solutions.
Hmm.
So that way it helps them develop their themselves professionally too.
Mhm. Yeah. It's good. You're family man and woman. You've got grandbabies, right?
We
Hmm.
do. Yes.
So how do you balance, you know, personal life with running a business?
It's tough.
My calendar.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
Same.
everyone tends to make fun of my calendar because it is a fairly large widget on my phone, and everything is color coordinated, but for a reason. And if it's
Mhm.
not on my calendar, a lot of times it won't happen. But I've gotten used to calendar sharing and showing him how to use it. So that's the one thing I think that keeps us on task for the most part. But we make sure we have our time. Um, I like to plan every month a date night or a date day and I'll plan it 6, 7 months out in advance and to make sure that we have that time together. We have specific times that we, do enjoy with the grandbabies. It's our days. But there's a lot of times like last minute calls like, hey, do you want to babysit? Absolutely. I will change everything.
yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Family first. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it is challenging, but there there's times that we have to be able to tag each other in and out.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
I have to go to him and say, okay, I need a minute. I need to tag out. I need to work. Can you take this over?
Mhm.
And we don't expect each other to solely do, hey, you're just going to take care of this part of the family and I'm going to take care of this part of the family. We share. We share
Yeah.
duties. We share
Yeah.
responsibilities.
Mhm.
So there's no expectation like, and I feel like I'm stuck or
Mhm.
if you're feeling stuck, and that we can tag team each other and say, "Hey, I need you to take Riley to football practice tonight. I've got to work on this." And yeah, so it works. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And I think the calendar for sure,
Yeah.
like the calendar is that is, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. And I mean that
Wait,
wholeheartedly.
hold on. Is my husband listening? Do you hear that? Isaac, do you hear that?
Should we call him real quick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do a live chat. It does. I mean, we were laying in bed the 2 nights ago probably, and I just realized I've got some time on Friday. I want to plan a lunch with my daughter, and I want to go see her and do. I've got some stuff to do at her house. Um, so it goes on my calendar. Like
Mhm.
I texted our daughter and said, "Hey, I got an hour here or whatever, and I'm gonna come over. Let's grab lunch."
Yeah.
And but it immediately has to go on my
Yeah.
calendar because if it doesn't, Friday will come and go, and she'll be like,
Mhm.
Dad,
Yep.
we still doing this?"
Yeah.
And I'll be
Yeah.
in, a job site somewhere or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that. But we also do a lot together. I mean,
Yeah.
she and I will, you know, whatever. If she's going to the grocery store, I'm going to the grocery store, like we'll run together.
Yeah.
Even
That's
if it's only 15 minutes, like,
that's what dating life.
yeah, like I'm old. What do you want?
Yeah.
But I need that
Yeah.
time. I need
Mhm.
that decompression with my wife.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she's not my business partner at that time. She's just my wife, and
Mhm.
it's fantastic. Um, you know, doing things like going to yoga together. Like, yes, I do yoga, and
Mhm.
it's great. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to work out or do yoga or do a lot of the things that I do, but I have to for my own health. That
Yep.
has to be scheduled. If I
Mhm.
don't schedule time to go to yoga or whatever, it's just not going to
Yep.
happen. The chiropractor, whatever. It's got to be on my calendar. And it's pretty much everything on my agenda is on my calendar.
And I think
Yep.
also we allow others to help. So if we can't do something, we allow our crews to take care of something or our kids to take care of something. It's being able to say, you know what, I can't take care of this all on my own. I've
Mhm.
got to have the help. I got to have that village because it really does take a village for sure.
Mhm. Do you guys, by the way, it just sounds like you are wonderful life partners, business partners. And I think that's really key. Yeah. I mean, hey, this is real life, right?
I know, I know, I know, I know.
But it's
Yeah.
interesting because my husband and I, we run our own businesses. We don't run a business together, but we
Yeah.
spend a lot of time talking about business together because
Mhm.
it just makes sense. I mean, it's hard. It's not easy, and we run into problems
Mhm.
every day. And so I understand about going to the grocery store together and having those 15
Yeah.
minutes to just pick out food together and how it
Yeah,
does
Right.
feel like a little bit of a date.
it
He
was.
wanted me to go to the car wash with him the other day to wash the RV. I had to decline, but it's similar
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
so I guess, do you have any advice for the trade? Anybody that is looking to, move their business to the next level? Um,
Mm.
anything outside of what we have already talked about today?
I mean, I think for the most part, just trust yourself. I have some.
Cool.
Great.
Surround yourself with like-minded people. I mean, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, it doesn't matter what job you're in. If you surround yourself by the people that you want to be and aspire to be, it will make you more successful. You might be successful without it, but being around the people that you are like minded definitely helps with your success. And it really helps with your confidence. It helps with your encouragement. It helps you be motivated. It helps you competition, like be
Hmm.
competitive, like, oh, I want to do that. So it's nice. It definitely surround yourself with the like-minded, successful people.
Yeah,
That
Preach
for
it.
sure. Yep. So we were at NADRA this year. It's a annual event for us. Um, and I'm sitting there, and it's just, like you're surrounded by the best of the best, and you're in this room, and like you're watching some of the wild builds that have been done, and like in your little bubble of the world, things are built the same way. Like nobody in St. Louis is building anything different than anybody else in St. Louis. They might be bigger, smaller, might have more details, whatever, but it's pretty much it. Like you're not going to evolve into bigger if you don't venture outside of your own bubble. Um, when we were first introduced to Nadra, you meet people that struggle with the same things you do. Um, you realize that no matter how big their business is, they have the same challenges. They might just be exponentially greater because it's an exponentially larger business, but it's the same thing. Trying to schedule time with your wife or your husband is just as difficult at different levels until you figure out how to do it. Um, there's guys in different parts of the country and different parts of the world that I am able to pull inspiration from that I never would have seen had I not been in a group of like-minded individuals. And Nadra is a
It's like a
organization that gave me that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this year I think I was talking to Lainey about, she was asking me what I felt about Nadra and like the impact that it's had on our business. And I said, Lainey, I wish I found it 15 years ago when we started, because we would have been further along in our journey. I love where we are today, but if you want a cheat sheet, go to Nadra, join Nadra, and learn from the people that have already cut the path.
But don't be prideful. Connect, make those connections, even if you feel like they might be competitors. I think our best, I guess, motivators is our competitors.
Yeah.
The more that we learn from each other, and don't be afraid to connect with those individuals and learn from them and give them support and ask for support back. It's very hard to think that way, but there's no reason that we can't. There's so much out there. There's enough business for us all. But there's just no reason that you should act like you're in this alone, because you're not.
Yeah. And I think everybody that I know in this industry, that I know on a personal level, they truly want to see us successful. And I too want to see them successful.
Yes.
I talked to Jason Alloway this morning at 4:30, 5 o'clock this morning. All of our framing is Newcastle steel. And I had a question specific to his product, and I'm like, hey man, like a quick thing. And it was just an email, and it's 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, hey, what's up? And there for me, like with advice, and not just advice that's specific to his brand. He'll help with other things. I've reached out to Scott Kelly a few years ago out in Colorado with Precision. Really picked his brain on some things that really helped get us comfortable where we are with working with steel framing. We've talked to John Lee extensively, and I look at the way some of these guys do the day-to-day job of swinging the hammer. I look at the way some of these guys run their business, and I want to take what each of these people are great at, and I want to emulate that in our business and in our life.
And I hope we're able
Just
to
keep
do
learning.
the same.
Yeah.
I hope that we're able to pay it forward.
Yep. We get calls from people that are, looking at specific products that we use. DuraLife decking is something we've used for years, and I get calls from all over the country about, hey, how do you guys deal with this, or what do you think about that? And when it first started happening, you feel like, man, who's this guy from Canada calling me? Like, dude, I just swing a hammer, and you really feel that way, like there are so many people that are greater at whatever than I feel like I might. But then you wake up one day and you realize, like, man, I belong in this room.
Yeah.
And it's a humbling feeling. But I think once you let that reality set in, I think you can be a greater asset to the people around you, and then you can pay it forward.
Well, I think we got to end on that note. That was beautiful. Seriously, like the microphone just dropped, and I really hope that everybody enjoyed that as much as I did. So, thank you so much for being here. I could probably talk with you guys for another hour, but
we adore you.
Yeah. We'll see you at the next show.
Yeah, for sure. If any of our listeners wanted to get in touch with you or follow you, what would the best way be?
We can go to our website at solidgroundstl.com, and they can find us on Facebook as well.
Yeah, so all of our socials are at Solid Ground STL.
Bam. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing your insights with us. To our listeners, make sure that you tune in to the next episode. And as always, keep moving forward.
Thanks, April.
Take care.
Hey, deck building community. Enjoyed the show? Hit subscribe and give us your thoughts. We love hearing from you. Ready to level up your business? Visit deckbuildermarketers.com. Check out our services and let's build your success together. Don't forget to download our free guides. They're a game changer. Thanks for tuning in to We Love Deck Builders and see you on the next episode.